Okay, in this episode, I'm going to take this boat and get it running for the first time in 10 years, and I'm going to make it reliable enough to go in the water for the first time in 20. So let's get into it. All right, so we're deep in the throes of working on the engine, turning it over, and if you look close enough, you can see it appears there's a bunch of water in the boat at one point. I've rotated that a couple of degrees, and I went out and bought to get a 36 mil so I could crank it over and just make sure it wasn't locked. And I did that because when I first tried to jump start the motor over, it did not turn over and the starter clicked, and it was probably bad connections, long jumper cables and all that. But I went ahead and, just from experience in these matters of old 10-year sitting engines, removed the injectors, hit them with some WD-40, and tried a couple easy turns that felt okay. And so after that, we got a new battery. It was a 34 group car battery, which didn't make any sense. I measured the dimensions and it was fine to just use this is a 24 group marine battery. And we were also able to delete these guys. We can just use marine terminals. So now we're going to turn the switch on and see if it wants to turn over. Okay, so we got the injectors reinstalled after we know that it turned over on the starter. And now we've got a siphon pump to new diesel directly to the injection pump. And this thing's pretty cool. Like it has a pre-prime kind of deal right there. And I learned about that, not because I just found it, but because there's a video of a guy in India working on one of these things with no English in it. I was able to figure out that's what he did to prime the injection pump. So we got the electrical switch on. I'm going to try it. Sounds happy. Let's see if we can get these glow plugs going good first. It cranked for a second. Okay, so we replaced the fuel filter. We found out that it was full of old fuel. Watched another YouTube video where we took this and relieved the prime here first, then the return, and then there's a screw down here on the injection pump. And that was the last one they said to do, and I saw air come out of all of them. Still got the 5-gallon jug here with fuel. It's got fuel all the way to the top of the system. And we got the water hose in here so that if there's any way that the water needs to go through there, it should have a source of water. So let's try to turn it on.
Woo! It's smoking.
Outside?
Outside.
It's okay.
It's blowing a bunch of smoke out.
It's okay. Is it pouring water out the exhaust?
I don't know. Let's see.
Alright, got signs of life. It's getting warm. Oh, hose. Oh. It's all right. Yeah, it got up to, I guess that's 220, which is the, but yeah, it was worthwhile. How the engine actually ran so well. And I found out there's two problems. The engine, the core is healthy, but the first issue is that the glow plugs, which are right here on this engine, they're along that common bar, and it's got a wire over there that goes out. I tested with the multimeter and it was not getting voltage with the key on or while cranking. So I just used this set of jumper cables and hot wired it to the battery temporarily. And I could feel with my finger, like right near where these plugs were, that the whole block was getting hot. So I knew that was good. The second issue was it actually had too much fuel. So I think what's happening is the injectors are leaking as the engine sits and is not turning or is not doing anything. And the fuel that's in the injectors is dripping down into the engine. And so it helps to prime it. There's a manual hand primer over there. But regardless of prime or not prime, if I let it sit for even 30 seconds, it would roar to life and then not do anything. It would just die, like it wouldn't stay running. And then if immediately after that happened, I continued cranking it, then it would slowly roar to life. And when it slowly roared to life is where it would stay running. So the next step will be ordering a ultrasonic cleaner, taking these injectors off again and cleaning them, and hoping that that solves the clog. Hopefully it's not like an O-ring that needs replaced. And I also we'll figure out a more permanent solution for the glow plug relay. We got our friendly fire extinguisher, and here's why. So today, since I had simple green on these yesterday, there's still, I feel like it's been cleaned out well. This is a lot cleaner, and really the pieces inside of here, what we're hoping got clean, but there's still little tiny paint flags. And simple green is kind of a solvent, and we need to re-lubricate all the internal parts before we try to run it, or it could experience premature wear. So diesel will do that, and ATF will do that. And it's actually pretty common in old mechanical non-emissions diesels to run a little bit of ATF in the tank. I'll put just a splash of that in there. And yesterday I ran 2 different injectors on the same batch of simple green, and today what I'm going to wind up doing is just each time cleaning this tank out and basically try to make sure that there's no more sediments than are necessary. So that is the plan. So I'm going to splash some diesel in here and then look out. Then I'll hook this up and run it and stand back from afar with the fire extinguisher. Looks really good. So I'm not sure how to get this to focus, but the parts that we care about are considerably cleaner than when I started. So I'm hoping that nothing really large enough won't matter will be inside. And I think I'm just gonna slap these bad boys in and try it when all 4 are clean. Okay, so we got our cheap eBay special fluid pump here. We got the pump going again, obviously just jump starting it to the battery. Went red to red a couple times just to see if the pump worked. You know, you never know with these kind of things. And look at that. So that is why all this fuel has to be pumped out. Water, fuel. Water, fuel. So I suspected something like that, but I mean, even look at inside of there, those bubbles. So not real good. And all these gallons have to get pumped out. So I got to find a solution to here, and then I can go over to the 275 gallon tote. Oh no, it'll all be fine. The fire extinguisher is just over there behind the oil across the engine from me, so yeah, it'll be okay. but it does look like it's pumping pretty good. You can hear the pump cavitate occasionally, but let's see what she's actually doing. No leaks. What's going in there? You can hear it. This is what I was trying to use it for. That was a total no-go. And then I just used a little fuel bulb guy to extend the length of the hose. So I didn't have anything else, but it'll still pass through one direction. So it's going. So I guess we just keep going till it's gone. But yeah, this diesel is ancient looking, so I think this is the right choice. No sense in trying to pull all the water out or condition it. All right, here in the trawler, it's dark. I've been working out here, and this is the fuel water separator. And since I got all the diesel drained out of the tanks today, I wanted to drain this as well. So I was able to do that. And I needed a certain size cup to do it. And so a DQ cup actually wound up working the best. So let's see what we got in there. And it is straight nastiness. It looks awful. There is grime, and that does not look like diesel. That came out of the separator. So thankful that I went ahead and did that. So hopefully the whole fuel system has been cleaned the best that it can be for now. Can't be the best way to do this, but it's the only way that I know how to do it today. So that's how I'm going to do it. Really, that inline pump that I use to get all the fuel out of the tanks is probably something like that would be a great solution. I just can't imagine that this is the best way. All right, so I'm going to hit the lift pump over here. And now I've got a big air bubble in that system. So I'll go through and bleed that. The $80 eBay diesel injector tester. We got 4 injectors here, and by luck of the draw and universal parts interchange, thank you Henry Ford, one of these 2 did fit, but everything I saw on the internet said go ahead and cycle some of this through first to see if grime comes out. What's going on? All right, so about a 1500. I think what's happened is it's leaking down so fast that it's not letting me build all the pressure. Okay, so number 3 is the loser. I'm going to take all the others, including the rebuilt number 1, and install them in the boat and see what happens. Okay, so I just want to recap what I think I did to make it work. So basically the keys to success were not giving up on bleeding. So replacing this fuel filter, and there's the ray core, and I replaced the filter in it and drained the bowl. And to bleed this beast is a process. So down there you can see the plunger. That's that round piece. And so you unscrew it, it comes kind of loosen up. And then there's 2 bleeder screws down there that are 10 millimeter that you have to do. The first one right there. Second one right there. So while pushing down on that plunger, you kind of check those, like you crack them, make sure there's no air. You do it until there's no air. Then these 4 here It took a 22mm wrench for the bottom and a 17 for the top, and I cracked all 4 of those open, turned the motor over several times till there was no air and just constant fuel coming out. And the part that was heartbreaking and took forever, it felt like, was getting all the air from those lines through these lines. And it was just a process of starting the engine several times and making sure that the fuel, you know, like kind of bleeding these, cracking them open one at a time. A couple of videos on that, and I'll include some stuff, but that was the kind of part that got me. You can also see the globe plugs in there as well. And this injector was replaced after I found out that it leaked. And to do that, I had a mechanical tester, so I'll show that too. But that's the summary. Okay, so another maintenance item that I wanted to do on the boat before taking it out the first time was the trans fluid. And I searched to see how much the transmissions cost to replace, and yep, it's time to do it. So this one's pretty clearly marked ATF. So I just went and put some ATF in it, and I think it only took 0.8 of a quart, so I just drained it out with the engine oil siphon. But just keep checking the items off before the first like long run or splash in the water. All right, you ready for a rudder test?
Let's test it.
All right.
We realized we haven't checked to see if our steering works. Are you turning it? Nope.
Pried up this panel, it's in the back of the cockpit here, to access the steering. And I know it was here, and I did not know it is hydraulic. So I want to keep this guy up here, dead align, just double check, make sure. I think I can rotate that. I don't think that's what's broke. Yeah. So this is the helm. And I also realized that you can actually see the steering ram. It's right there. So you should be able to see that move fore and aft as you, but obviously we know that's not working. So what I did, there's no access to this, like I need to get back behind here. And I looked in here, and it's hard to see, but you can if you look up there, it's a great big white hydraulic helm. And what I did, I took these guys out, and now I can get in there and see. So the white metal piece there is the helm, and I believe this is the fill plug. And let's see here. Yep, it looks awful dry to me. So I will go get some fluid and attempt to add to this and see what she does. All right, we got our funnel in there. We got a little bit of ATF, and I'll admit a couple of things here. So first thing, probably shouldn't be using ATF. And this is just, who knows how old. But my guess is there's a leak somewhere in this system. I don't know where it is. And you can see, oh, I've got a bad deal going, right? Like there's bubbles coming up, but the fluid's above the funnel. Well, if you turn the helm, it's obvious that it's missing a lot of this fluid. So I'm going to keep doing that till it won't. And then I guess I'll have a mess on my hand, but imagine it's going to take a bit. All right, so I just threw it back on. I believe I've got all the transfer I had today in there, And right now I'm looking for like big, bad, scary leaks to see if there's, you know, where it's lost all of it. That's from a oopsie on my part. Got the batteries out. I don't see anything really bad here. Let's check the back. You know, all that fluid, I put at least one solid cord in. Oh yeah, look at this. So there's some red down there, and you can see on the gland certainly some. So that cylinder will need a rebuild before a lot of use. But in the short term, I guess I could use it if I had to and just keep pouring fluid in it. So let me show you what it looks like when it's actually running though. Okay, so this time around I am using the hose to clean all the debris out. And you can see right there's the drain hole. Got the plug out and everything's just coming out. So we'll test the bilge pumps next. And before we've done any of that, of course, remove the plug. And I scooped out about one battery box worth of diesel soaked pine and rat poo. So when thinking about should you buy the $100,000 yacht or the couple $1,000 yacht, is it worth it?